So y'all are live now and being recorded. So don't say anything
Well, let's not go on that.
that you don't want recorded.
We need to turn around.
Thank you.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Aubrey, morning, everybody. You know, you can't do it on Zoom nowadays, people don't want to come in, do they?
Okay, if I get a call, how do I get listings? I'm gonna be like, what were you? What happened?
Remember that we were here.
Right?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much. That's very helpful. I'm trying to. Yeah. My daughter's sometimes in school. It's not for school. It's small, so they the president might do something wrong.
What way to tell you?
Packing, marketing. Yeah, my son. Innovation.
For this one, being, Zoom.
It's being recorded. We
Oh,
are recorded.
that's the,
Right,
we like somebody with online,
there's no, yeah.
So what would you say, Joe?
Yeah,
but there was no link, that's why I drove in the rain.
They didn't tell me
there was a link, but
no, I didn't see one.
There wasn't this.
Well, I posted it on PC.
Well, I didn't see it in the email.
Oh,
There wasn't an email, so I thought, oh, it's okay.
It's all more.
earlier.
Oh, now I gotta check it. Zoom here.
Same.
we don't use it.
Yeah.
I get extra credit.
Working with that.
Absolutely.
You like that?
I'm Jeff, tell me your name.
Mariah.
You did our group?
I've been here since March.
Oh, okay, that's how friendly of you. You come to the dinner.
Hi, guys. How you doing? I think it was in class today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding some off-market deals. Hey.
Sandy's gonna be here later.
Oh, all right. Hey, well, first off, thank you for being here, right? For any of you that don't know me, Enrique, you know me, we met.
Well, I've seen you before.
Maybe, no familiar, I'm just kidding. I'm Aubrey Bailey. I've been involved in our group almost as long as Enrique. I think he beat me by a few years. I came in 05, or 01, I think. Yeah, 2002. And just had a wonderful journey with KW in leadership now and oversee really all of our family offices. You set aside an hour of your day today. Thank you for coming. So I appreciate it. So we're gonna jump in. What's that? 2 hours. It'll probably end up being an hour and a half-ish, and then you'll have questions, right? So we'll go through those together. All right, we're gonna cover so many good things today. You'll see me say this every time I'm in front of a room teaching a class. You're gonna hear a lot of good things. I want you to pick one, because the chances are you'll leave here with 2 pages full of notes, and you won't have clarity on what your next step is. So pick how many? One, just one, and put that in place, okay? Education without implementation is what? Entertainment, waste of time. You don't come here to be entertained, and I hope you have some fun here. You came here to find some ideas to drive your business forward, right? Okay, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but if the way buyers agents commissions changes, which it will, which is okay, we may, I would be more last on this, right? Okay, however, if that happens, what side of the business might it make more sense to focus on?
Listings.
So you're in the right room right now. Let's talk about finding listings, okay? All right. Okay, what's the biggest trouble for buyers right now? Lack of inventory, high interest rate, right? It goes through, like lack of inventory, high interest rate, right? So, and we're not really seeing as many multiple offers as we were. However, interest rates just went back down. What is that gonna do to the demand and the applicant? When applications go up and buyers start going back out, looking at properties again, we will probably see this again. Multiple offers and things like that. That's in our very near future. So how do we solve that problem? We fish upstream to find off-market listings before anyone else knows about them. Here's where I want your mind going today. You may be in the buyer mindset, being like, I need listings with my buyer, and I can't find homes for them. I want you to twist your mindset a little bit and say, I'll find an off-market home for my buyer. And if that buyer doesn't want to buy that home, what should I do? You have a seller that raised their hand saying they want to sell, what should you do? List the home, you know? Your buyer may not want to buy every home you show them, right? It'd be great if we could show one home and they buy it. That isn't how it works, right? So list the home, okay? So you're really gonna be leveraging your buyers to help you find a lot of listings. And if you don't have buyers right now, I'm gonna show you how to pick some up to leverage them to get off market listings. We'll cover that. All right, imagine for a moment that you were the source of off market listings for your clients, right? That everyone around you in your database, when they're at parties talking to their friends, like they know you as that person that has that secret inventory. You know, they're talking to a friend, and they're like, yeah, I'm just really having trouble finding a home, you know, there's not much for sale. They're like, you know, my agent Jen has this secret inventory. She always seems to go about off-market deals. what do you think that person's gonna say? Do you have Jim's number? Can I talk with Jim? You know, I wanna talk to that person. Does that make sense? All right, what would that do for your business? How many more referrals would you get because of the buzz in your sphere about you having that never ending inventory? Does that help you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Click that through, a little smaller. All right, let's click here. There we go. So this is an actual screenshot with an actual agent in our group, and I helped her. Everything I'm about to share with you is exactly what I sat down and helped her with. And I sent her a text. This is me in the green. She apparently has an Android. Okay, no offense to any Android owners, okay? But she has an Android, so I'm in green. So I said, are you up to 11 potential transactions now for doing that? If I'm doing my math right. She sent me back, that dollar up, right? And so she just says, haha, just having fun, don't really feel like work. You know, and I said, here, that makes me super happy for you, congrats. So what I'm sharing with you isn't, oh, I heard this works well. It's things I personally have done that other agents are doing. One thing I want you to remember, if you want what only 5% of the agents have, which is a 6-figure income, you have to be willing to do the things that 95% of the agents won't. Make sense? You have to get out of your comfort zone. You will see things today that'll make you do things a little differently. You're like, oh, I don't know, that makes me uncomfortable. Great, everything you want's on the other side of your comfort zone. So get uncomfortable. That's good. Those little butterflies you feel in your stomach, right? Enrique, we talked about butterflies earlier. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. All right. So stage one. So let's say you have a buyer right now. You're having trouble finding a home for them that they want. Identify the subdivisions. I didn't say the listings. Get listings out of your mind. There's not enough of them right now. Identify what subdivisions match the criteria of what they're looking for. So if they say, I'm looking for a 5-bedroom, 4-bath home on a basement with a 3-car garage in the Johns Creek High School District, priced between $850 and $1 million, whatever that is, then you say, what neighborhoods match that price range? You know, I know there's not really any for sale right now that necessarily match that, but what would be in that price range if it came for sale? Do you guys follow me?
Yeah. I'm gonna get a copy of these slides later on.
I shared them with, yes, I won't send them, ask Jessica to. So when you walk out of here, I'll ask Jessica to as well. I sent them to Jessica and Carrie. I'll ask them to send them out just to everybody, to the whole office, okay? All right, so identify what subdivisions match. How would you do that? Pretty easy. Run a search in Johns Creek High School District, right? And click on the sold box over the past, let's say, 18 months. Okay, so these homes have already sold. I'm not asking you to go back and try to get them to sell again. I'm saying, how do you identify what homes match that criteria? See what's sold, right? That gives you an idea. So you run the search sold over the past 18 months with that kind of criteria, and it spits out a bunch of neighborhoods. And they say, which one of those neighborhoods had the most home sales? And you're like, oh, Country Club of the South, or St. Marlowe, or whatever it is, or Doublegate, right? You say Doublegate, that's a pretty big neighborhood. Lots of homes selling there. They're in the 800 or 900s. They have basements, right? You see what I mean? Now you're like, okay, Doublegate's it. Great, Doublegate. Okay, all right. So if you don't have a buyer, and you're like, ooh, I don't have a buyer to do that with, right? That's okay, we're gonna cover that in a second. I'm gonna show you an easy way, one thing you could do, and then one day you can have a buyer, okay? I'll show you that with you in a second. Step 2, so once you've identified the subdivisions, remember we're leveraging our buyers to find listings. If you don't have a buyer, I'll get one in a few minutes, okay? So now we're gonna obtain the information you need to contact potential sellers in that community, okay? Has anybody ever heard of or read the book 7 Levels of Communication? Right? Okay, so one person has. Write that down. 7 Levels of Communication. It's a really good book. Have the markers. Enrique, can you help me, please, sir? Can you get some markers? Maybe ask Jessica. Oh, sorry.
I'll get it for you.
Thank you, sir. It's a great book, and what it is it shows there's 2 different types of communication. Okay, one is informational zone, the other is influential zone. Okay, and so many of us we want to hit the easy button and do things like postcards, emails, ads or whatever else. That is just informational zone. It typically won't get somebody to jump up and take action, right? In the middle is handwritten personal notes. That's better than a postcard or email. Would you agree? Handwritten personal note more impactful, than an email. Okay. What's better than a handwritten personal note? A phone call. Now you're into the influential zone. Phone call, what's better than a phone call? A group event like this, we actually see people and interact and get a chance to talk a little bit. What's better than a group? One-on-one. That's the best way, right? So you wanna find yourself, all of these different ways work. Some will provide information, some will get them to take action. We wanna do a combination of them to get what you want. Does that make sense? So we'll cover that, okay. So obtain the information you need, I'm gonna show you how to. So let's say this example was double gate. We're looking for something in the 8s that had a basement, right? Okay, let's say it was double gate, get in. Appreciate it. So it's in the 8s, so we say double gate in our neighborhood. We're doing that, double gate, right? So, all right, the next thing we're gonna do is step 3, we're gonna reach out to them in 10 creative ways, which is what I'm gonna show you today, to essentially with variations of the message of, hey, I have a buyer, if you're thinking about selling, call me. That's way better than I sell lots of homes, you know, and call me for great service. What do they want to do? They really want to sell their home. And the most powerful message you can have is I have a buyer. The second most powerful message you can have is the one that guy in all the billboards has, which is what? Yeah, guaranteed offer, right? Guaranteed offer, you know? So those two messages are really strong. I have a buyer is better than guaranteed offer. Because if you have a buyer, that's like, oh, I could sell it right away. Guaranteed offer, they know, well, hey, there might be some taxes in that, and they're off, right? Okay, so we're gonna talk about these 10 different ways. All right, well, let's jump in. If you don't have a buyer, so if some of you are sitting in the room, you're like, that's great, but I don't have a buyer that would buy Doublegate right now, or whatever it is that you might want to get business in. What's a free way to find some? Okay, I'll give you a really easy one. One of the agents in our group did 17 deals her first year in the business doing this, okay? And it is open houses. Heather Hare, which is an agent in our group, did 17 deals her first year, not knowing any other agent, not having any listings. She held other agents' homes open that didn't want to hold open houses themselves, but she did them differently than every other agent. So I'm gonna share with you how if you're gonna do an open house, you only need to do this once. So pick up another unrepresented buyer. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to say, because if anybody in this room has ever held an open house, maybe this is just me, this is happening, or I implement this in others. You meet somebody, they don't have an agent, right? And they tell you what they're looking for. And then you're like, great, you know, I'll call you tomorrow. And they don't return your call, right? Hey, why? Why? I'm gonna show you how that will never happen again, okay? We'll talk about that. Okay, so hold some open houses, okay? So how does this work to pick up buyers? When you do them differently, we can't do the regular open house. It's gotta be done differently than everybody else. Okay. All right, so where do I find homes I should hold open? Pretty easy. You may not have a listing right now. You're like, that's great, but where am I gonna find a listing? Go to the MLS. Click on add or remove fields, click on add in list office code, KWCH01. That's this office, right? I pulled this last night, right? So these are all the homes that are listed in here in this office right now. They're actually for sale. So all you would do is you might call Charlotte or Mona or Dana or Melissa, and you'd say, hey, Laura, this is Chuck from the office. You know, congratulations on that new listing at 2614 Harmon Park Circle. Way to go, looks like a really nice house. And she'd probably say, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate that. And then Chuck would say, hey, I'm just curious, are you willing to open house this weekend? And she'd probably be like, no, I'm not planning on it. You know, she might say she is, you say, no worries, right? But if she says no, you say, hey, I'd love to help you get the home sold. You know, would you be comfortable with me holding that home open, right? And think about it. If a buyer comes through that weekend and they're unrepresented, right? And they want to buy the house, you still win. You represent the buyer, she represents the seller. You see what I mean? It's still a win. Chances are, if they don't want to buy that house, legitimately try to sell that house. If they don't want to buy, if they say, oh, I like the home, but I really need a flat backyard, this backyard won't work. It just slopes off, it just won't work. I gotta have a play set for kids. You say, no problem. You know, and this is where you have to have the right dialogue to say. So let me back up a little bit. And I'm gonna share with you how to do this. So I'm going too fast, so let me back up.
Another way,
I do that a lot.
another way that you can do that, when you're on my matrix, when you're on your dashboard, there's a section that says my listings, and like underneath there's a part that says my office active listings. So like if you can't remember the code, if you just click on that, it'll show you all the listings for the.
Yeah, here, are you serious?
Yeah, I can everything. I
That is
go
a-
and check all the listings for the office.
Way
everything.
quicker.
Way
I learned some, thank you. Yeah. This is what I'm hanging out. It does not matter what stage you're at in your career. I promise you will find little nuggets from pretty much anybody at any stage in their career. Thank you for, what's your name again?
Mariah.
Mariah, thank you, Mariah. Okay, so I told you with humility and grace, call and say what I just told you. Hey Laura, congrats on the listing, you know, way to go, beautiful home, just curious, you hold an open house this weekend? And she says, no, do you mind if I hold it open for you? If she says, oh, you know, I feel like hold my own open houses, you know, or whatever else, or she's not comfortable with somebody else holding it open, I say, no problem at all, right? So I put on there what to say. Here. I love it if you give me the opportunity to hold it open for you, help you get sold. If they say no, these are some reasons. What would be some reasons they would say no? They're already holding it open, or just went under contract. You know, what else?
Sellers don't want it.
Sellers don't want it held open, or strangers walking through their house, right? You know, whatever it is, they might have a reason. That's okay. What do you say to them? You say no worries at all. You know, Laura, listen, if you ever get into a bind and need some help with a showing, just let me know. I'd be happy to help you out, okay? It's a pretty kind way to end the conversation. You see what I mean? All right. So, and she may call you. She may be at a, you know, on date night or at her kid's, you know, soccer game or football game, and somebody calls wanting to see the house, and she remembers you saying, hey, if you ever want help showing their house, call me. I go show it for free. You see what I mean? Why? Because I want to build a relationship with that top agent, maybe have opportunities in the future, right? And that buyer may not want to buy that property. I'd probably, in that scenario, give her a referral fee and go get them another house. You see what I mean? Win-win for everybody. Okay? Yeah, Chuck.
So, said for our office here, do we give any opportunity?
Yeah, I would do any office in GLG. Yes, yes, absolutely. Good question. Yeah, yeah. So why would you do that? We covered that. Okay, market holding open houses, if we're here to talk about finding off-market listings, because if we're gonna use the message, I have a buyer, we have to legitimately have a buyer. You see what I mean? I need a buyer that says that. So, let me see if I put this in here. Okay, I did this. Let me share this with you. You're at the open house. This is where you do it differently. So pay attention to this part. This part's really important. When you're at the open house, most agents will do something like this. They have a sign-in sheet for a gift card giveaway or whatever else they're doing, right? The buyer walks through the house, and as the buyer's leaving, you know, the agent will say, hey, you know, what you think about the home? And they're like, oh, you know, it was all right, but the floor plan just doesn't work. The floor plan just doesn't work for what we need, you know? And then the agent's usually like, oh, well, let me set you up on a search, and what are you looking for? How do you know your homes? In the buyer's mind, they're like, you know, I already have Zillow in my pocket, or whatever, you know, give me the information, right? So like, oh yeah, here's what we're looking for, here's my email address. And then you're like, great, I'll reach out to you, I'll set you up on a search. And they leave. And then you email them properties, and you call them, you know, and you text them, and they don't answer. It's because we're not doing anything for them. They see us as a door opener, not a wealth determiner, right? They're like, you're not giving me anything that I already have in my pocket, right? So how can you be different? This is the part I need to pay attention to. When they walk through the home and you're done looking at it, you ask them the same question. What do you think about the home? If they say this floor plan just won't work for me, right? You say, this is the important part. Say, you know what? We means the whole office. Hey, we means the whole office. How many agents are there in this office? You guys know?
369.
Yeah, well, I mean, close to 400 agents, right, is what it's approaching, right? So this is what you say. You say, you know what, our office, is working with a lot of sellers who are getting ready to put their house up on the market. True statement or no? Yes or no? Yeah, right? We're working with a lot of sellers who are getting ready to put their house up on the market. Some of these homes might be a good fit for you. You know, if you would tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for, let me see if we have one that might be a good fit, okay? Why am I saying that? Because in that moment, is that home in Zillow? Oh, in that moment, you just showed them you have access to a secret inventory that they don't have access to. And in that moment, they're gonna happily give you their information. Not only happily gonna give it to you, they're sitting on pins and needles waiting to hear back, to hear what you have, right? So fast forward, you say, great, let me go see what we have. I'll circle back with you. What's the best phone number to reach you on? Oh, you're right there. Great. Okay, by the way, what's the best, if I have pictures and information on the property, what's the best email address to send that to? Great, write that down, right? And by the way, you know, my name's Chuck, what's your name? You shake their hand, right? Got it? Now they're waiting to hear back from you. Now, they haven't signed a buyer brokerage yet, you follow me? But they have raised their hand, and they said, I want a 5-bedroom, 4-bath in John Trees High School, price between $850,000 and $950,000, right? You see what I mean? So now you have a buyer who actually says, yeah, I'd be willing to buy. If you have something, let me know. You got it? Okay, all right. So what do you do from here? First off, there's an internal Facebook page in GLG group. Just hop on there and put a post up. Hey, who has a 5-bedroom, 4-bath in the John Street High School District coming up sometime soon, right? Now, the reality of it is, like, most of the top agents are not sitting there on GLG group posting and looking all day long. They're out there doing what? Selling homes, right? So you may not hear back from somebody. Okay, so when you're talking with that buyer, you say, I'm gonna reach out to everybody in my office, and I have some ways to find some off-market properties. Give me a couple days, I'll get back with you. Now you do that post, and now you start doing these, okay? So, let's talk about it. Oh, I almost skipped a piece. It would be really bad if you guys said, I don't like doing open houses, and the only reason I'm doing this is to get a buyer, and you sit there for 3 hours eating your own cookies, twiddling your thumbs, and no buyer comes through, at least no unrepresented buyer. We need good foot traffic. So I wanna show you, let's talk about getting 15, 20, 30 plus people through that open house. You can at least pick up 1 or 2 or 3 unrepresented buyers, okay? So what are some things we can do, right? Okay, good door knock, 25 doors up and 25 doors down. Hey, I don't know if you knew your neighbors, the Smiths, are gonna be making a move. We're having an open house this Saturday from 12 to 3. It'd be a great time to pick your neighbors. I'm just curious, who do you know that would really like to live here? Please send them by the open house. Okay, nice to meet you. Here's my card. You see what I mean? You don't have to be like, they want to pick their neighbors. You're letting them know ahead of time. So don't feel like guilty, like you're bothering them, like you're helping them decide who's gonna be in the neighborhood soon. They probably want to be in the loop. Make sense? Okay, all right, what else can we do? What are some other ways we could drive foot traffic here?
Yeah, do signs.
Signs, absolutely, yeah, signs, okay, what else? Okay. How do you drive traffic to an open house? What have you seen or heard of?
We gotta put on MLS, of course, all the agents.
Absolutely, yep, you can put it in MLS, that's right,
Agents, right?
yep, that's it.
Not agents.
Right, that's it. Okay, what else? How else can you drive traffic to that open house?
Social media.
Social media, definitely, social media, absolutely. Okay, yeah, any other ideas? Let's look at a few, okay? All right, so this is the 7-level open house from MREA, okay? The most basic one, sign the yard, open house rider, that's gonna be a lonely open house, okay? Nobody else can know about it. Okay, plus want it, and leave some balloons in the yard. Now, I might get a couple more people to come by then, maybe 2 or 3. Okay, what's step 3? Directionals, right? With signs of all the key corners and balloons. Here's a key on this. If you're having an open house on Saturday, right? Or Sunday, or let's say you're doing it Sunday. Friday night, go put out directionals after 5, that's usually when the sign police stop, picking up signs, okay? So Friday after 5, go put some signs in, like right at 5 o'clock, at the front entrance to the neighborhood. It says open house, and it has a little rider on top, says Sunday, 2 to 5, or whatever time you're doing it, right? Okay? That way you have them in all the entrances. I go put them in a couple of the kilo, what's the word I'm looking for? Intersections, right? So not just the front of the neighborhood, but right outside the neighborhood, okay? You follow it? So directionals are the key corners. Now on the day of the open house, I would go back to those signs as I'm driving there, put balloons on top of those directionals. Make sense? That way they see them, okay? All right, you want to +1 at step 4 open house, flyers the week before, email invites, and post it on websites. There's a tool I'm gonna show you in a minute where you can get, obviously one internal email will be your database. But did you know you can get for free 30% of the neighborhood's email addresses for free? I'll show you how in a minute. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay, you could send that out to the neighbors. Hey, pick your neighbor, open house coming up. Please share this with anybody you know. Okay. Okay, go invite the neighbors. This has 100 minimum. You're gonna meet a lot of people. And if the average person moves every 6 to 7 years, then you're gonna have a large chunk of people in here, 15%, whatever that number is, 15 of them are gonna be moving right now. So when you're at the door, they might say, we're thinking about moving too. It's funny you're here. You're like, well, we didn't talk about that, See what I mean? It's a contact board. Okay, the next one is get on the phone that morning and remind everyone. And the last one's that's a big one. Hold 4 other open houses in the area at various price ranges. That'd be where you collaborate with other agents. Think of it kind of like a scavenger hunt, where they pick up different things, they have a prize, and you could make it pretty fun. I've seen a handful of agents do that, which is neat. That's what the 7th level open house looks like.
I get on the phone and remind everybody that they're going.
It doesn't necessarily be, so it could be, if you're talking to people, you knock on 100 doors, you might say, great, what would be the best number to reach you on, if I can keep you up to date on what's going on in the neighborhood and the house and all that, yeah, try to get the number. Or if you did an Facebook, somebody mentioned social media, what if you did an ad on social media that talked about the open house, right? And it had a contact page on there that had a phone number, then you might call them and remind them, hey, don't forget, we got the open house tomorrow, looking forward to seeing you, right? Or your database, okay? Or leads you have and been looking for homes. Okay, here's some other things. What else can we get to get more foot traffic? Think about a new construction neighborhood. What do they do to drive traffic? What does it look like every day? What do they have outside the neighborhood? Yeah, yeah, what does it look like? Like, take a look at, they do stuff like this. They're like the wheel, exactly. They have like the wheel farm out there and the big, feather flags. Why don't we adopt what they do? It obviously works. These are not expensive, yet they get a lot of attention. There's a guy named Chris Suarez, him and Ben Kenny ultimately ended up partnering together in Open Place, right? Which is still technically part of KW. And he moved to, I can't remember the city now. He did over $20 million in business in 1 year from holding other people's homes open, but he did them differently than every other agent. He held open houses on like a Wednesday at 5 o'clock. He doing weird days, and he did on the weekend too. He did 2 or 3 open houses a week. And neighbors would come by and be like, why do you build this one open on Wednesday at 5? He'd be like, you see the people sitting in the front of the neighborhood in traffic? They could be home by now. That's why. Right? See what I mean? So get creative with it. They will see this. If you don't have balloons and sign riders and things like that, it's gonna be a lonely open house. Okay, make sense? And aren't other sellers gonna see you as being a little different when you do stuff like this? People want different. The more traffic you have, the better chance you have of driving the price up. You guys follow me? Okay.
Hey,
All right.
can I add something about the signs?
Please, yeah.
Because I'm particular about this. After you put the signs up, drive down the street. If you can't see them and you can't read them, neither can anybody else.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, good. Very good. Okay, outside of the normal things, here are some other creative ideas. Okay, this is the one that people think is like super awesome and cool, and it's gonna get you all the business in the world, right? It's cool, it gets a little bit, but the other stuff is honestly better. I'm gonna share it to you. Promote the open house. So on Facebook, you can actually drop a pin on a map. You can do it by, you can either do it by custom, you can do it by locations, and it says people living or or recently in this location. So it drops a pin on the map. It has a radius on what you can do. It used to be like a really tiny radius. Now the smallest radius is a little bigger. It's still effective, still worth doing, right? So it basically means anybody in this circle will see this ad. Make sense? Okay. Well, what if you're holding a home? Pretend this said Doublegate. This says Edenwild, just as an example, right? And this example is Edenwild. And this dot is in the middle of the neighborhood. So what that means is everybody that lives in Edenwild, when they're on social media scrolling through, they're gonna see this at some point. So even though I may not know, who Chuck is, if I'm scrolling through my social feed on my phone and I see my neighborhood entrance and it says attention neighbors, I'm gonna be like, whoa, what's going on? That's my neighborhood. I pass that every day. And it says, the Smiths are making a move. Wanna pick your new neighbors? Swing by the exclusive neighbor-only open house Sunday from 11 to 12. So I might do neighbor-only open house from 11 to 12, and then I might do the regular open house from 12 to 2. Make sense? Right? That's what that would look like. You guys follow that? So they would see this. So Saturday morning, they're drinking their coffee, they're scrolling through social media. All of a sudden they see this little thing. Oh, that's my neighborhood. Oh, pick my neighborhood. Okay, cool, right? They're not necessarily gonna learn more and call you right then. But a lot of marketing is just getting exposure and to see it a couple different ways, okay? All right, what's the next one? Okay, what's the most common neighborhood that moves to this neighborhood? In Edenwild, a lot they're like 900s, right? The neighborhood that moves a lot is priced in like 5s and 6s. Do you see what I mean? That's a common upgrade, go from 5s and 6s to 8s and 9s, right? So you would drop the pin in the map, you would probably move it over here, right? Where that neighborhood is, Crabapple Chase homeowners. So you would drop a pin in the map for Crabapple Chase homeowners. Why? Because it's in the same school district, in the same area, right? Same gas stations, grocery stores that they're used to, and people commonly move there. So now the people that live in Crabapple Chase, it says, attention, Crabapple Chase homeowners. Thinking of moving, love Edenwild, and you know they already do, right? Great news, hot new listing, be the first to see it at the open house this Sunday from 12 to 2.
How did you know that the people at Crabapple love Edenwild?
You can easily look and see, look at same school district, like a price range that's a common upgrade. That's gonna be, if they like to stay in like, okay, Doublegate. What would be a neighborhood that's in the same school districts as Doublegate that's a step down from Doublegate? What's on Morton Road? Where's some of those neighborhoods, right?
It's gonna be, Sports,
Yes, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
right across from.
Yes, exactly. I would pick that neighborhood. You see what I mean? Because likely, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident that a good chunk of those people want to stay in the same school districts, want to have the same experience for their kids, and would probably move to Doublegate, right? Now, the reality of it is, some people may see it and just think that's cool. Then they click on that and be like, I've never seen an agent do that before. You're the type of agent I want to hire. So it's just exposure. This is informational zone, not necessarily going to get you a lot of leads, but it's cool. How much does this cost? Facebook charges per, what is it called? Exposure, impression. Is that the word? Impression. To get 2, 3, 4, 500 people, it's like $30. You know what I mean? You're not going to spend much on this. Okay. Again, it's cool, not gonna be a game changer, but it's cool. Okay. All right. How to be different at the open house. I already gave you what to say. Our office has a lot of listings coming up soon. No one's seen them yet. Tell me what you're looking for. Okay. And I'll send this out too, just so everybody has it. But if you want to take it. Okay. All right. Okay, now that you have buyer leads, so you've met them at the open house, they gave you their information, you said, I'm gonna reach out to agents in my office, and I've got some other creative ways to find off-market deals, give me a couple days, and I'll circle back with you, okay? Now, we're actually gonna jump into the 10 things. You guys ready? With me so far? I'm gonna pause there. What questions do you have so far? Good, did I explain it okay? Yes? If you're thinking it, somebody else is. You can ask. Okay, we'll come back. Okay, all right. So remember, your goal is to find multiple off-market listings. So if your buyers don't want to buy the home, then list the home, right? We're leveraging them to find really, I want you to have one buyer that gets 8 sellers to call you, right? Well, that buyer's only buying one home, so list the other 7. Do you see what I mean? Okay. All right. So how do we find off-market listings? Now we're into the 10 things. All that to get to this point, okay? All right. Use the criteria they gave you to find homes that might be a good fit. Doublegate is this example, okay? How many homes can that buyer buy? 1, so list the homes that other people call you, okay? All right. All right, step 1. We've identified the subdivisions that might be a good fit. How do we do that? I just go in there and I type in, whatever the price range is, 800,000 to 900,000. I type in whatever area they're looking for. I look at all the properties and it pops up with a list of all the homes. I say, okay, here's all the homes. In this example, it looks like Edenwild had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that sold in the past 12 months. Were there 8 neighborhoods that had more than 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2. No, Edenwild, it gives me the best chance of finding a potential seller. Don't pick a neighborhood that only had 1 home that sold. Pick one that has the most that sold. That's gonna give you the best chance of finding sellers, multiple sellers that need to sell. You guys with me? Yes? Okay. All right. So now we've identified it's Edenwild or Doublegate, for example. So how do you get the contact information from everybody else? If we're gonna do this 7, bless you. If we're gonna do this 7 levels of communication, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is one-on-one. This is a group meeting. This is gonna be phone call. This is gonna be handwritten notes, HN. This is gonna be email, direct mail. And I don't remember. Public cards on the newspaper. It was just this area right here, email, direct mail, and just general marketing is info, I can't even spell, INFO, informational zone, right? The zone we want to be in is the influential zone. These 3. Influential, okay? Got it? Okay, I'm going to cover the different steps. So where do we get their name, phone number, email address, and physical address? I'm going to show you some different ways, a lot of which are free, okay? Remind and Realist is free. You guys seen this? In Remind, I know in some of the offices, they will take which one does this? If an agent doesn't have a database when they join, they will actually download their neighborhood they live in. They will download it. They give them about 25, 30% of the email addresses, 25, 30% of the phone numbers that are not on the do not call list, right? And it gives all of these physical addresses, but remember, name and physical address is public records. You automatically have all of that. Make sense? Okay. All right. So Remind is one place to get it. It's free. This is another one, then Verified and Past People Search. It's a free one. Okay. You could pay whole information directory, $89 per month, so you could say, I don't want a monthly subscription for $89. They do a month. So you could say, I want, and this will give you way more information than the other ones will. You could download all of them, you essentially, and then cancel your agreement. It's a 1 month a month. So you essentially paid $89, for a list. If I did that, I'd probably download a bunch of neighborhoods just for future case scenario and then cancel it. You see what I mean?
Now, you're saying bad people essentially give you a whole neighborhood?
That might be one by one. That's the problem. Remind will do a whole neighborhood. You absolutely can select a whole neighborhood and download it. Then verify might be one by one. Whole neighborhood, whole zip code. Like you're really specific. Same with agentcircleprospecting.com. They work 40 a month. I haven't double checked the price. Their information is not quite as good as Cole, but it's pretty good. It's only $40. Again, you're paying $40 for a list. Just cancel the list afterwards, the program afterwards, right?
Red X.
Yeah, Red X, yes, Red X, Vulcan 7, all of that. They get a little more expensive. Vulcan 7 is expensive. Red X isn't bad, but that's another one as well. I've used Red X in the past.
Yeah, I think it was 4,000, 7,000, or something like that.
Yeah,
A month.
A month, yeah, exactly. The rest of the month.
So I get 21,000.
And then cost it. Yeah, same thing. Get all the information you need, cancel it. Forewarn, again, this is one by one, to your point, it would take a lot of time, Do you guys know you're about to get forewarned for free?
It's available now.
Isn't that good news?
Sorry,
After all these negotiations, you guys realize I've spent like hours on the phone with them, getting them down to like $6 an agent. And they give it to us for free.
But we did pay Oregon.
Just to,
Yeah.
in case you're in trouble, you forewarn somebody, but this is logical.
Oh, my friend. Oh, you have been missing out on other great ways to use this. Where it says phone number, right below that, it says search by name. So you can click on search by name and just plug in the city they live in and the name, now it gives you who they are and their phone number and all that same other information. You didn't know that?
Except the email's still hard to get.
It doesn't get email,
Yeah, it's right there.
Well, another one that's really good is exact dial. You can put exact dial, you can put in a phone number.
Exact dial.
And it costs like $5 a month, and you get so many.
Cool.
You put in a phone number, and tell you all about it. You put it in the email address, tell you all about it. Or you put in their name and their address, and they'll give you their phone numbers and their address, and give you their phone number and email. They're much better than, what the other one there, you got, Fastly.
Yeah, past people search. I need to remember to add exact dial on that line. This is why I love doing stuff like this, because you creative agents, right, always have little things that you found out that I hadn't heard of, so I love it. I love
You
it.
can't get a list, it's gonna be one of them.
One at a time. Yeah, that's why these are cool, because it's a whole list, Yeah, but it's one more. So, pay to play. Okay. All right, so now we have information. Step 3 is reach out to them in these 10 ways that we're gonna cover. Okay, let's jump in. So what are those 10 ways? That's why we can't do today. Okay, we covered one of them. A few minutes ago. You can literally drop a pin on the map and you can say, attention E1 homeowners, thinking of moving, please call me. I'm working with a buyer who wants to live here and has your contact information, right? And again, when you drop that pin on the map, it doesn't just get the neighborhood, like the neighborhood's like just right here, it's to get everybody in the circle. But you know what? Another seller may see this and they say, I don't live in Edewall, but not in my neighborhood, Wexford is just as good in Edewall, and if they want to look at there, they probably like Wexford, call me. You see what I mean? So it's okay that more people see it than just that neighborhood, okay? Got it? Okay. All right, tips. Oh yeah. Use picture or video. Text is not gonna work. You've got to do picture or video. I actually stood in front of, it was Crabapple Chase or Crabapple Lake, and did a video of this. And I was like, basically like holding the camera. I was like, hey, do you live in this neighborhood? Because if you do, I have somebody that really wants to buy in here. If you're thinking about selling, please call me. 10-second video, drop the pin on the map, right? And people see that and they're like, who is standing in front of our neighborhood sign with this video? They'll turn on their sound. I did it in, what's that neighborhood at 575? If you get off by those little outlet malls, by Rope Mill, there's a big neighborhood on the left, Pulte, huge neighborhood. I can't remember the name of it. I did there. We got like 2 or 3 sales out of it, Except for the fee. I can't remember. Okay. Use picture or video. Take a picture of the entrance or the clubhouse or the amenities, right? Why? Because they will recognize those, okay? Don't just do a picture of a house, because a lot of times the same floor plans in neighborhoods all around. Do something they would recognize. What should it say? I showed you, okay? Avoid ad blindness. What is ad blindness? If you have the same ad, it gets stale. So swap out the photo or the video or whatever else, right? Don't run the same ad forever. So that's one. That will not be the one that gets you the most business. I'll tell you the two that will. Out of all the 10, I'll show you the 2 that get you the most business, okay? All right, strategy 2, signs, okay? All right, this is real. Your fellow agents that have done this, okay? See these signs, just like a directional, exact same thing. You see what this is? You see how it's separated? Why would it be separated?
So you can put another marker on.
Yes, you're so smart. Yeah, we can do it in different neighborhoods. You use it in different neighborhoods. So we have a buyer part is the same, right? Over and over again. You just swap it out for whatever neighborhood. Okay? So Laurel Road. Now, think about this for a second. In the morning, the person's drinking their coffee, they're scrolling through their social media, they see that ad that has a picture of the front entrance of their neighborhood, says, hey, Laurel Road, you're thinking about moving, I'm gonna call me. I'm like, oh, that's pretty neat, they keep scrolling, right? Then they're driving the kid to soccer practice at, whatever time, and they're sitting at the stop sign in front of the neighborhood. And all of a sudden they see your sign, Laurel Road, we have a buyer. Like, you see how this starts to compound, on everything? Some neighborhoods won't allow you to do that, right? Okay. Right? And this is a real voicemail. That phone number goes to a Google Voice, right? And this person, I had to, scratch out his name and number, right? This is the kind of like if you ever talk to Siri and Siri gets it wrong all the time, so this isn't perfect, but this was a Google transcription of his voice. And it says, yeah, so I saw your sign outside my subdivision, right? Oakstone Glen, that you have buyers looking for homes. I'm toying with the idea of selling mine. So if you give me a call, I appreciate it. The last name is Mike. I'm sure that's probably a mess up on Siri or Google. And my number is blank, 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 blank. I scratched it out. Thanks so much, bye. Deborah Bloomfield did this, sold almost $2 million worth of real estate. He had like a $800,000 home to sell and bought a 1.2. I haven't flip-flopped on which one was more expensive, but it was almost $2 million worth of real estate from a sign. What does a sign cost? Like $15, cheap, maybe, a sign, okay?
And
Right.
you can use it over and over again. The riders are super cheap.
Yeah, they're like $8,
Yeah.
$5. Okay, all right, so strategy number 3. Contact info with neighborhood resident. Okay, touch base. Okay, so you got the information for the people in the neighborhood. Not everybody, but a good chunk of them, right? Follow the do not call. I think I have a disclaimer at the bottom here. Follow the do not call. You could use the Reach app. Have you guys ever seen that app, Reach? You can so you take the list from Cole or RedX or whatever. You can download it as an Excel document, technically CSV, comma, separated value or whatever. Then you upload it into Reach. Reach sends a text message from your cell phone. So it's not a different number. It's actually your cell phone number. And it's one-to-one, not a group. You see what I mean? But it's the same message and you don't have to retype it every time, okay? So you send a text message. You must use the disclaimer at the bottom. Oh, by the way, if you're currently working with a real estate agent, please have them call me. This is the same thing as if you send out a postcard to a blanket neighborhood, right? You have to have it, if you don't go through it to remove whatever is listed or whatever else, you have to put a disclaimer at the bottom. This is not intended as a solicitation for your business if you're currently listed. That's the same thing here. So what does that text message look like? This is the app, Reach. It looks like, it's like $4 a month or something like that. Your mind should be going to, what if I had lists for all the moms in my database? And it was able to say, hey, Susie, just thinking about you, hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. But Susie and Jennifer and whatever else all got that message. Or if you want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Veterans Day, I have a client appreciation party coming up, like all of that kind of stuff. You can use this in a lot of different ways. But it's
able to take a contact name and change the name of each one of them?
Yes. Notice it says like here, the same message, hey Katie, hey David, hey John, hey Ann.
I can't read from there.
This says, hey Katie, are you coming to the event tonight? Hey David, are you coming to the event tonight? But it's one-to-one from your cell phone, okay? Yes.
Does it work if you have a Google Voice number?
I don't know if you can do it from Google Voice. That's a really good question. Really good. That's the first time I've asked that. That's an excellent question. I don't know. Yes.
Is Reach running into any issues? Like, I know we've had carrier issues, like from our CRM, we have a dialer from our CRM.
Yeah.
You can hardly send anything by text
No,
right now.
here's why. When you hit the message and hit go, it pops up individually on your phone. Like you literally.
Like you'll see them all pop up on your.
It does it one at a time. You hit send and the next one pops up. You hit send, the next one pops up. But you can do it really fast. You can
Yeah.
it sends them, right? So your carrier has no idea. They think it's just a regular text message, not a mass text message. You see what I mean? And you can edit each one. Like, for example, I just saw Jen last week.
You can put a little line in.
Yes, I would add in here, you know, hey, Jen, great to see you last week. Are you coming to the event tonight? You
Yeah,
see what
'cause
I
I
mean?
basically just did this manually a couple weeks ago for an event I was having.
Yes.
Or, you know, cut, paste, change the name, cut, paste, change the name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's cumbersome if you have 200 people to do.
Well,
it.
and I'm always worried I'm not gonna change the name.
I know.
Susie, go.
It does. So Chuck just said it does have a line for Google Voice. Cool. Like I said, I guess $4 or $5 a month.
Yeah, so
Not
this
just
gives-
in media.
What's that?
Can you send photos and videos?
Yes, you can add videos and photos. I know you can add photos. I'm pretty sure you can add videos. I know you can add photos.
Did you say how much?
$5 a month. I think it's $4.99 a month, what I remember. Yeah, okay, super cool. Okay, this is what the message might look like. Hey, name, it will insert Chuck's name. So this example, it would say, it would auto-populate for you. It would change the name on each one. It said, hey, Chuck, this is Aubrey with Keller Williams Realty. I've got a super sweet family who really wants to live in Edenwald, and we're having trouble finding a good home. If you come across someone there who's thinking about moving, will you please let me know? By the way, if you're currently listed, please have your listing agent call me. Thanks so much, right? And again, you have to put this in here,
Mhm.
right? If you're worried about the protected classes, just remove the part that says family. Here's who's at risk. The seller is at risk if they choose somebody based on a remember family is a protected class, right? Remember that? Okay, here's the reality of it. They are not listed. There are no other offers on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're choosing between two. You see what I mean? Use your own discretion there. If you're on the buyer's end, you don't have to worry about it. The selling agent would, or the listing agent would, is what I'm gonna say. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a nice text message. Hey, Chuck, you know, I've got a super sweet family who wants to live in Edenwald, having trouble finding something. If you know something for sale, please let me know. Like, that isn't one of those, like, leave me the heck alone, you know? They might say that, and they do shrug it off. But this isn't like, hey, are you voting this weekend? You should vote for me, or hey, do you want health insurance, you know? Am I the only one that gets those?
Every day, all the time.
This is different, because it's very specific to their neighborhood, very specific to them. They will not think it's a group text message. You see what I mean? It will look like, wow, that's super specific to my neighborhood, cool, you know? Okay? All right, so next is, so far, what have they seen? They've seen a social media ad right in the morning. Then they got in their car and driving to soccer practice. They've seen your signs at the front entrance. Okay, they're sitting at soccer practice and they're probably getting bored and their phone buzzes and they're like, oh yeah, you know, they get a text message from you, right? And then afterwards, that night, they get an email. Now, they don't know necessarily who, you know, Enrique is. So if Enrique just sent an email to the neighborhood, they probably wouldn't read it, but they do know the name of their neighborhood. So what if they said, attention Edenwald homeowners, or attention Doublegate homeowners? You know, I just left you a voicemail, or I just sent you a text message, or you may have seen my sign, whatever you want to change in that first sentence. And I thought I'd follow up here too, in case email's easier. I'm working with a super sweet family who really wants to live here in Edenwald, and we're just having trouble finding a home. It's a good match. If you know someone in the community that's thinking about possibly making a move, please let me know and I'll get them connected with these buyers. My contact information is below. Oh, by the way, if you're currently listed, have your agent call me. What I've had happen in this, it's kind of interesting. I'll actually have listing agents call me and they're like, hey, my buyer, you know, heard that you have my seller heard that you have some buyers that are looking to buy a home. We haven't put the home up on the market yet. They've already signed a listing agreement, you know, but who do you have? Like, that's happened. I didn't really get people that are mad about it. Like, I thought the agents would be mad. They weren't, you know, because you're putting this kind of disclaimer in here.
You're
you
making
know?
it easy.
Yeah, you're making it easy for them. You're making them look good, you know? Make sense? Okay, so now they've seen we're thinking about this. They've seen this enough. We're starting to hit almost all of these. You see what I mean? We're getting through the list, okay? Do you think by now they know who you are? Right, then absolutely. Okay, so here's what I'll tell you. If you're looking for the most effective ones to do, those signs work absolutely brilliantly. Those signs work really well. The emails actually, oddly enough, work really well. If I was to pick two, it'd be definitely the signs and either the email or the text message, one of the two. Okay, and the rest of them, they're okay, right? Those two will get you some calls. Absolutely get you calls every time. Okay. All right. right, here's some examples of, letters, the golden letters. I'm not gonna spend time on this, because you guys have seen the letters. Here's writing, all she did, she took out the name and, made a bunch of copies, and then she wrote the name on each one. You know, that way she didn't have to rewrite the same letter over and over again. You could use.
Ryan,
James as-
Ryan and James will do it.
do that. I mean, they have all of this stuff, so they can help you with that, so write letters.
Diane and Deborah.
Some-
Yeah, Ryan will do, yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Devers.
And they can find the addresses for everybody, the names for everybody in the neighborhood for you, and they can just send it.
They can, it's really kind of hands off, it's easy button, click the button. And how much is it per letter? Probably $1.50 or so?
It's not that much, it's worth every penny though,
The time you spend?
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, and what's cool about them is they've been beta testing it with a lot of different agents, they'll tell you what works better.
They've gotten a really good response from, mostly it's been the North Atlanta.
Sure. Well, they've been there longer. James just came here. I love them. They're so good.
They're so good.
So good. Okay, and the letters they look handwritten. Like you look at the address, like that looks handwritten. Why? Because it is. Like the machine they have actually is a pen on a paper, you know? So it's neat, super neat.
You think Brian has this?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
You can't tell.
No, you can't. It looks so real. I get stuff from other agents and other companies. I keep it. So this really is an agent. I don't know her, but I got this, you know, so I saved a copy of it. I'm sending this out. I'm just giving you ideas of what you could say. I think the smartest thing is ask Brian and James, like, hey, what verbiage is working the best right now? You know, and they'll help you with that. If it's handwritten address, it'll get open. If everybody wants to hit the easy button and print the addresses, because you can stack envelopes in a machine and print them out, it'll go in the trash. Think about yourself. If you're anything like me, like I get my mail in the mailbox, 3/4 of it does not even make it in my house. Like I'm at the trash can before it even goes in my house, you know? But if it's handwritten, I'm like, oh, I'll bring that in.
I send out SEC schedules and those things, and I handwrite every
Yes.
single, I haven't even done the easy button with Brian, and
I would.
I handwrite every
Oh,
single
my
one.
goodness, it takes hours.
It does, but it's worth it.
It is, because they.
It's also a good, go through your database time too. It's, you know, like twice a year, I'm like, okay. I'm
It's kind of like pruning and deals, you know what I mean? Like going
Yeah,
through
and
and it
put
reminds
people
you.
top of mind. too.
Yeah, you may call somebody you haven't talked to in a while, or you may be like, that loser sold with somebody else.
They're down the list, they're not getting an SEC calendar from me.
That is supposed to be your buyers or what?
Yeah.
And
That
that's
could
okay.
be, yeah,
That's
that's,
okay.
yeah, again, it's the seller that would be at risk if
Yeah, I
they
was
pick
thinking
somebody.
like,
If they discriminated, it would be their fault, you know?
Okay.
You can remove it, if you just wanna be safe, just remove it. I've got a super sweet buyer who wants to.
That's what I say.
Do that.
I don't.
Yes, so, yeah.
Discriminating against non-sweet buyers.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
some really angry, mean buyers. Maybe everyone. Man, I haven't used this in a while, I hope it's still in there, but, it lets you type retargeting, so leverage command mail to narrow down the list of the people next most likely to move. So it uses some different criteria, like when it last sold, what it sold for, and they basically have like an algorithm that gave you who's likely to sell. So like out of 300 homes, it would say, here's a 50 that based on these metrics might be about to sell. So you can actually in command, I hope it still does this, select that group to send postcards or something else to, or mail or to.
This is in command?
Yeah, usually that will be a screenshot of command. Hopefully it's still there. Ask Sam. I need to ask him. Does it? Yeah, there you go.
Where'd you find that? In the campaigns?
It was in campaigns, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And campaigns, under postcards, the postcard section. That's how you get here. Okay, speaking of postcards, this is an agent in our group, this is what she sent. I won't put a lot of comment here because you're gonna get the copy of it later, right? But just, I want to tell you examples of what things look like, you know, postcards, things like that. Okay, this is strategy 7. This is warm knocking, right? And this is what it says, you know, hey Chuck, you know, you're knocking on the door. Hey Chuck, I'm Aubrey with Keller Williams Realty. No, I'm in the neighborhood previewing homes for our buyers or considering, I'm not gonna read it. I'm gonna tell you what my version would be. I'd say, hey Chuck, my name's Aubrey. Listen, I've got some buyers who are considering moving here in Wexford or in the Edenwald. And I promised them I'd go around and just ask a few people in the neighborhood what they think about the home, you know, in the neighborhood. Like, I'm just curious, would you buy here again? Like, are you happy in this neighborhood? If you were my buyers, would you buy here? And in a moment, they'd be like, you're knocking on doors to ask for your clients what the people who live here think about the community, I've never had an agent do that in my life, you know? Here's what they're either gonna say, I love it, they do these cookies with Santa events, they do an Easter egg hunt, and everybody's so friendly, or they're gonna say, I hate this neighborhood, you know? HOA is so terrible, you know,
Yes,
they
that's-
give me letters, because my mailbox is not, you know, painted dark enough, you know, like, this place is so strict, you know, or else they love it, you know? So then you talk to them, and you say, so if you were to buy here, if you were them, would you buy here again? And they'd be like, they'd say yes or no. Say, awesome. I'm also, by the way, I'm having trouble finding a home. As you can imagine, if I lot for sale right now, I'm just curious, like, who do you know in the neighborhood who's thinking about selling? You notice I didn't open with that? I opened with, you know, I've got some buyers looking to move here, and I'm just really trying to find out what neighborhood makes the most sense for them. That's a way warmer way to start the conversation. Then you go into, who do you know looking to buy or sell? And they probably say, I can't think of anybody. You say, no worries. Every neighborhood seems to have that chatty Cathy that knows, like, if somebody was gonna move, they know who that person that walks their dog up and down the street every day, they know everybody. Who is that chatty Cathy in the neighborhood? And that person may say, Second Street on the left, cul-de-sac straight back, or type right home, ran the sheriff, right? I say that because that's literally the one in the neighborhood. And so I would go knock on the sheriff's door, and I say, hey, I was just talking to Chuck around the corner, and he said, you know everybody. He said, if anybody was gonna know if somebody thinking of selling their home, it'd be you. I got these buyers who really wanna live here, who do you know? You just built Miss Cheryl up. She's like, you darn right, I would know. You know, so she doesn't wanna let you down. She's like, you know what, right around the corner, you know, the Jackson family, I've heard you're thinking about selling, you know? You're like, great, who do you go talk to? The Jackson family.
They're just like, oh, someone's gonna get in the door.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So now you see how we kind of put these pieces together. Now back to Chuck, the first conversation. I said, yeah, I'm gonna talk to Cheryl. You know, by the way, you know, if you do come across somebody that's thinking about buying or selling, can you call me? And this, I'm sorry, selling in this neighborhood, can you give me a call? Right? And then I'll give Chuck my information, right? And then I might also say to Chuck, you know, Chuck, for the people that I really care about my database, I keep them up to date with what's going on in the real estate industry. Would that be helpful to you? Would it be helpful if you got information on what's going on, like unfiltered, real numbers, you know, what's going on? I say, yeah, sure. He said, great, what's the best email address to send it to? You've already got his physical address. He just gave you his phone number. You know his name, so you add him to your database. You see what I mean? Build your database. You see how you connect some of the dots when you're doing this? Okay. That's warm up. You will get business for doing that. There's a, I thought that was pretty creative too. Diane and Devers made these. They can make these too, Brian and James. The door hangers, fire need, you know. Okay, this is probably the last one. How did I get this yellow line on here? I don't know what happened. Anyway.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Highlighter.
It almost, oh, oops, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and pull that neighborhood or that area and see who are the top agents. You know, you can right click in the gray area and you can add a column. That's how you do that. Just add the listing agent name. So then I might call Anne Marie Russo and I might be like, hey, Anne Marie, this is Aubrey with Keller Williams. Listen, I've got a buyer who really wants to live in that double gate area. I know you've been selling a lot of homes in the area. I figured if anybody would know about a listing coming up soon, it'd be you, because you're such a great agent, right? If she's a real estate, I am a good agent. I would know if somebody's selling over here. Great, what do you have coming up? You know, that may not, that's probably the least effective out of them, but it's at least worth asking because you never know. You never know. Okay, so that was strategy 9. And the 10th one, yeah, I did it on here too. Is it on every slide now? Yes, I wonder if somebody online accidentally started scribbling. You know, you can do that. I think so, possibly. Yeah, it's gotta be. All right, so social media. Home, you've seen these before, you know, put them on social media. I got a home buyer looking for this. This isn't necessarily the best example. I'm just showing you what it could look like. Okay, home buyer need. So 10 ways. Bonus, email to your database, right? That's what that could look like. Here's one that I just plugged in last night. So this is like what 11. You're getting some bonus ones. This is 12. There is an agent. I'm trying to remember the stats on how many deals he got. Not in our group. There's another agent at another office, not another state actually. But he did reverse CMA. So what he would do is he'd pick a neighborhood and he would do a reverse CMA on the houses in the neighborhood and send them out. You're like, here's what's happened in the neighborhood. And he actually did it individually. Like every day he would send out 5 CMAs, right? And once you have one done for a neighborhood, it's pretty easy, you know, to do 4 more for that neighborhood. So you send out a reverse CMA to, so they didn't ask for it, but he has their email address. or
Anyway,
Facebook
that you
address.
just like.
Yeah, so he sends it out and he puts a disclaimer in there like, hey, I haven't seen your house, so if you have, you know, certain upgrades that would offset the value, that would absolutely impact it, you know, let me know. And yet, here's what's going on in your neighborhood. Here's what the homes have appreciated over the past couple of years, and it seems like the appreciation is slowing down. However, most of them on average are selling for about this. If you're thinking about selling, I'd love to have the opportunity to potentially earn your business. If you're gonna be interviewing agents, I'd love to have the chance to get in front of you. You know, when can we talk? If you're thinking about selling, call me, right? Oh, by the way, I have a guaranteed offer program. I can give you a guaranteed offer. If you have a house, I'll make an offer on it. I can't tell you it's gonna be a good one, but I'll make an offer on it, okay? That's me talking personally, not what you say to them. So, by the way, you could have a guaranteed offer in every single one of your listing presentations. All you need to do is go to the MLS, look and see what homes sold for cash over the past few years, click on Realist, put it in forewarn. Now you have their phone number, call them and say, hey, I think you might be an investor. It looks like you bought a few homes for cash. I'm just curious, if I ever come across a good deal on a home, would you consider making an offer on it? And they say yes. Now you have a cash buyer. On every email piece, you could say, you know, ask me about my cash guaranteed offer. You're just trying to get a foot in the door. And what you could say when I'm sitting there, and Chuck might say, well, tell me about your guaranteed offer. Like, yeah, I've got a handful of investors that will make homes as long as they get a good deal. What I love to do is beat that number. Like, let's get an offer from them and then put me to work for you. Let's go beat it. And if we can't beat it, at least we have something to fall back on. You see what I mean?
No,
Like,
there-
get out of here. We gotta get creative on how we do this.
There are several companies, you have a kid, you have one.
Yeah, I tell offers. Yeah, yeah.
To Leo.
A lot of those.
Yeah.
Those options. But reverse CMA, so he spent out like 5 a day or a quarter or something like that, and ended up doing like 20-something million dollars in volume for doing these. You know, it's a numbers game, it's just a numbers game. So reverse CMAs. Okay, this is important. I want to back up for a second. Remember how this all started. If you didn't have a buyer that signed a buyer brokerage agreement, and you're reaching out to an entire neighborhood saying, I have a buyer, the last thing I want to do is put an unrepresented buyer in front of an unrepresented seller. Because what are they gonna do?
Make a deal.
Cut you right out of the deal, right? And all of this work for nothing, right? Okay, so what happens if they call you? What you need to do is go see it first and get an authorization to show unlisted property sign. What does that look like? You know, Jen calls me and she says, hey, Aubrey, you know, I saw you everywhere, actually. And I hear you have a buyer. And I'd love for you to bring a buyer to see my house. You know, I am thinking about selling my home. I say, Jen, I'd love to bring a buyer. And what I'd like to do is just pop by, take a look at the home, make sure it's a good fit for them. I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste your time. But link that, pop by and see the home. And Jen would be like, oh, makes sense, sure. Yeah, how about this afternoon? Say, hey, great, I'll come by, right? So you go by the home, you take a look, you walk through. And you say, you know, based on what I'm seeing, it does seem like it would match most of the criteria they gave me, right? And before I'm able to show a home, the Georgia Real Estate Commission requires I get a form signed that says authorization to show unlisted property. So I'm not asking you to sign a listing agreement with me today. What I am asking you to do is sign something that will allow me to show the property. You want me to show the property, right? Okay, great. Let's go through this agreement together. Do you see what I mean? That's pretty non-pushy. They get it. You know, show the home. This is the form. Okay? This is the form. So you just fill out the form. It has, you know, brokerage name, you know, the address of the property, and you get here, price. You say, and you might say to them, okay, what price do you want me to tell them you would consider selling it for? You know? And they say, well, I don't know. What is it? What do you think? You know, and remember, they're not your client. You can't give advice. But what you can do is provide data. So you might say, I thought you might ask that. Here's the snapshot today of what's sold in the neighborhood. Looks like they range from, you know, 825 to 875. What are you comfortable with that? They might say, 875? You think? You say, doesn't hurt. Try it. The worst they say is no. You cannot give them advice yet. Make sense?
Yeah.
Like that. No, not your client yet. Can't give them advice yet. Yeah. Can't give them advice yet. Can't give your client. Can't give them advice. Not supposed to. All right. Next thing up is down here has somewhere for commission, right? So right here, right? So in commission, you say, and you guys all know this, there is no set commission, right? Okay.
Right.
However, I usually charge blank percent, right? And here's the reality of it. If I'm not having to put it in the MLS and market the home, you know, do all the work that I normally do, you know what? I'll give you a little discount. Rather than doing it for, you know, 5.5, 6.5, or whatever you usually charge, right? I'll do it for 5, right? And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because you can say, I'm having to do double the work, you know? So they get it, is that good for you? 5%? All day long. They feel like they're getting a deal too. So again, as an office, we are allowed to talk about commissions. What setting commissions is when our brokerage firm goes to Coldwell Banker or Century 21 and says, let's all of us charge 6%. You see what I mean? But as an individual, commissions are negotiable, and an office can set a commission. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. We're on the touchy topic right now. But still, that's what it would be. You know, at the end of the day, they said, I'm only willing to give 3. Okay, you know, fine. Make sense? Okay, all right. So you get them to sign that, you then bring the buyer by. Tips. Your buyer probably won't like that. They like, and if they do, great, you know, but if they don't, that's okay too. That seller is gonna say, what do they think about the home? Like after they leave, the buyer comes, they see the house, they say, oh, it's just not right. But you say, no problem. You know, I'm doing some other marketing. I'm waiting to hear back from a few other potential sellers. Give me another day or two, Chuck, and we see if I can find another deal for you or off-market property. So they leave. Then the seller comes home, and they're like, so what do they think about the home? You're like, they love the home, but that backyard, they just said it won't work for them. Like I was saying earlier, you know, it's like a slope backyard, they really want that flat backyard for their play set, their kids and everything. But I love your home. It's a gorgeous home. And I don't know when you're interviewing agents to potentially sell it, but I'd love to have the opportunity to earn your business, you know? And here's the biggest thing I found, the biggest challenge is not selling your house. Homes sell pretty easily right now, you know? However, my challenge is, most sellers' challenge is, where am I gonna go to? So you saw how I found you, right? All the creative things I did. Tell me more about what you're looking for. Let me go see if I can find an off-market deal for you. That way you have a place and will comfort knowing where you'll be able to move to, right? Now you take that seller and you go market to the neighborhood they're thinking about moving into. Then those sellers raise their hand where they have to move to. And now you see how this becomes this awesome circle of never-ending off-market properties that you can constantly market to. You see what I mean? Yep. Okay. So list the home, ask about where they're going, do the same strategy there, rinse and repeat with every potential seller you talk with. Okay, we covered a lot of stuff. What questions do you have, and what is your one thing? Take a look at your notes. What was the one thing that you're gonna at least try as a result of today?
Reach.
Yeah, okay.
The golden letters too, that's a 2.
Yes.
I've been meaning to do that one. I pointed that seat because it's usually what Brian says.
Yeah, you always yeah.
But, and the golden letters with Brian, I've been meaning to do that for a while
Yes.
for a buyer.
Smart. Okay, what's the one thing? You sat here for a little round.
Do you use them or do you do your own?
So we have our own and we do them, and we've had huge success. Last year, I mean, sometimes I have buyers and sellers that I met offline and it's mixed up. But that was huge for us last year.
Target neighborhoods or?
Yes, specific neighborhoods for an existing buyer. And always you have to put something in that letter to show that you really have a buyer, because a lot of agents just send them out. But if you can be very specific, then they know you're for real. And
Yeah, they're from Tennessee and just moved here, job relocation,
Yeah.
and you know, whatever, like that's,
something,
yeah,
and
something.
we get a lot of calls, we got a lot of lots of listings, but it didn't work out. But last year, that was huge for us.
Smart. Okay, who else? What's your one thing? You sat here for over an hour. What's the one thing you're gonna do as a result of it? Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll do more open houses before we sign.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it works. It works. Yeah. Okay. Great. What else?
My language at open houses.
Yeah, little tweak. You know, leverage the power of this office. 400 agents almost, right? Yeah, in our group, we actually have like 20, including Savannah, we have 22, but local in Atlanta, we have 16, 17, 1800 agents. Like, yes, we have a lot of sellers that are about to put their house up for sale. So yeah, absolutely, leverage that. Okay, is this helpful for you guys?
Yeah, very.
Like a postcard versus a golden letter.
The golden letter is more effective by
They're
far.
just more personal.
More personal, do the ones with like Ryan or Jane, they're gonna be handwritten.
Yeah.
Postcard, they're gonna go in the garbage, so your message better be really powerful on the way there. So one of the things that Brian and James can do, they can actually have a picture of that individual house. Did you know that? They did it, I think, on probably Google Street or something like that. But as a picture of that house that says, are you thinking about selling your home? I have a buyer. That's a pretty powerful postcard. Yeah, it's gonna be that. Yeah, their own house. but they look, whoa, that's my house, you know? Like that postcard, I need to put that picture up there, that'd be a better.
We use that for condos and stuff,
Mhm.
it's huge to
Yeah.
put that on there, but we also have, we do a lot of this in Focus Plus. The number is 3, you have to send 3 letters, and the third one you get the response on, so we send them 1 week apart.
Oh, wow, super smart, okay.
That's good tip. Yeah, good tip. Okay,
Mine too.
any other questions or all good, was this good use of your time today?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. All right, I'm gonna make this one short and sweet. Actually, I read something this morning that I want to share with you guys. This one, Enrique, you get to hear it again from me.
Well, you too, Chuck.
Yeah, you were on as well.
Yeah.
So, what makes you, a rhetorical question, you don't have to answer this, because for a second. What makes you uncomfortable? What makes you think about that, like, what makes you uncomfortable? There's a book, if you guys know who Ryan Holiday is, he wrote a book called, what is it called? The Obstacle is the Way, it's like Stoic Principles. And, this is what I heard, the conversation I heard, it's called Collecting Butterflies, Collecting Butterflies. This isn't exactly what he said, I took little pieces to make it make sense for what we need it for. The thought of doing something that gives you the feeling of butterflies is a signal of potential personal growth. So what butterflies are you currently chasing right now? You know, that feeling in your stomach, right? It's through confronting your fears and embracing the activities that you'll get those butterflies. You'll experience the personal growth that you're seeking. You see, the most amazing life is a life filled with chasing butterflies. It's where you push past your fear into the cocoon where you transform and grow. And every piece of knowledge there becomes a part of your story, wherein your pursuit of the butterflies, you evolve into something more, something better. So look at life as a golden team, look at life as a garden teeming with gorgeous, vibrant butterflies. The butterflies that make your heart race, that make your stomach jitter, because they're the treasure of personal growth, and personal growth begets the person you're meant to be. So don't swat them away, instead chase them. So what butterflies are you currently chasing? Go out there. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, take care, Connor.
This is coming out, yes, right?
Yes, let's ask her.